Okay, we're on to chapter 18, which is actually the last chapter of this book, Hold On to Your Kids. There is going to be a chapter 19 and 20 only because he has a revised edition. So that's going to be all about technology because there wasn't as much about technology in this one, and times have changed dramatically. So this one is the last one of this book, the first edition. It's called Recreate the Attachment Village. So it's kind of to summarize the whole book and what you can do. So some adults still remember childhoods where there was an attachment village, where neighbors knew and visited each other. The parents of friends acted as surrogate parents. Children played in the streets, and everyone looked out for them. Everyone knew the people in the stores they shopped at. An extended family lived in close proximity. Parents worked close by, and cultural activities brought together generations. We need to try and recreate this attachment village. The important part is the connection between everyone. Unfortunately, many grandparents have also become peer oriented and would rather spend time with each other than with their grandkids. Or they might live too far away, or sometimes it's not in the children's best interest to be close to certain relatives, whether that's grandparents or aunts and uncles or whoever else. So sometimes it's necessary to find other adult friends to stand in for relatives, depending on the situation. It's important to socialize in a group of all ages, not separating children and adults. That's another point that he brought up before, where he said when he was in France and the Provence, and he noticed that the festivities in the small village were always of all the generations celebrating together, and he feels like it would be beneficial for all the generations if we did more together, but especially the children, to have us adults as their guides in their lives. Close to where Gabor Mate lives, the co-author of the book Hold On to Your Kids, parents organized a block as the little block that could, with benches and picnic tables where families could visit outside their homes. Once a year, they close off the street and have a party with games, food, and music. They invite a fire truck who lets the children play in the spray of the hose. I don't know if that, I've seen a fire truck at the children's festival, but to see the children play in the spray of the hose, I've never seen. Our neighborhood here actually used to have block parties when all the kids were still younger, and it is a really fun thing to do. Every family needs a supporting cast. The less one exists naturally, so if your family is far away, or if it's just hard to have that happen naturally, the more important it is to create one. It's not enough to just have a babysitter available. The child needs to feel at home with the babysitter. One of the ways you might be able to foster a deeper attachment between your child and the babysitter is to invite her to a family meal, or stay a while until your child is comfortable with the babysitter. I know with my youngest son, he was very introverted and shy. When he started going to preschool, initially I stayed with him and I held his hand everywhere he walked, because otherwise he was going to be uncomfortable. And we did that for a while until I said, okay, you can just walk around and I'll just be right beside you. And then after a while I said, I'll just sit right here and you can walk around and you can come and get me when you need me. And we did this until he was comfortable to go on his own. You might not have to go to this kind of extreme with your child, because every child is different, but little connections are always a good thing to do, like introducing your child, spending a little bit of time there, making sure they're comfortable. Often both parents have to work, and there's a growing number of single parent families. So we need to make sure that our children form strong attachments with the adults who take care of them. Adolescents often turn away from their parents. If there are other supportive adults in their lives, they have someone other than their peers to turn to. Gabor Mate went to Mexico on holidays, again, the co author to Gordon Neufeld. Um, and in Mexico, he noticed despite growing up in poverty, the children in Mexico seemed very happy. And he attributed their happiness to the close family connections. In Africa, also, they children seem to be quite happy despite of whatever else is going on, poverty or even in war-torn areas. The children often still seem quite happy, and again, they think, just from the mama carrying the baby all the time and all the close connections, really foster that strong attachment and that security in the child. Someone tried to open up a stroller store in a country in Africa, and it didn't go very well because the moms there thought, why do I need this contraption? I can just carry my baby. Not to say that you should always carry your baby everywhere, but I think we need to be careful not to use all the conveniences we have, where we put them from a car seat or a stroller to a bouncy seat to a swing to a crib, and just don't barely spend any time holding them anymore. So you gotta find a good balance for yourself and your baby or older child to spend still lots of connecting time. So one of the things we can do is we can match make. We often match make instinctively between siblings, or children and grandparents. We need to expand this to create an attachment village. One of the most important matchmaking opportunities is the introduction. It's an opportunity to create a friendly first impression. Our child needs to see us in a friendly interaction with the person they're going to be passed on to. So whether that's a daycare worker or a classroom teacher, a principal, a piano teacher, a ski instructor, whoever that person is, the children need to see us interacting in a friendly way so that they know we approve of that person is friendly. They often look at you for cues, so it really helps when they see us on the same page. Matchmaking helps to endear the unconnected parties to each other. It's important that we establish a relationship before we discuss things that aren't working. So, let's say if we're going to talk to the teacher about something, like an issue, it's great to talk a little bit friendly first, form a connection. So with teachers and students, that's helpful anyway to, like he says, endear them to each other. You can say to the teacher if they were sick, oh, my little one really missed you while you were off sick and was really looking forward to your return. Or you made quite an impression on our daughter when you had this amazing butterfly activity or whatever it was, right? And with the kids, you can say like your teacher noticed how you were helping a friend today, or when you were sick, your teacher really missed you and hopes you feel better soon, or whatever. Like, have a little bit of back and forth. Don't make it up, but there's going to be stuff that you hear that you can let them know, because people always like to hear that, and it makes them excited about each other. In a school in Toronto, they had a very successful program where they matched senior citizens and elementary school students. I was just for 1 hour a week, and even though it was a short period of time, like, it had a really great impact on the kids and on the seniors. Also, this isn't in the book Hold On to Your Kids, but I just want to throw it in there because it fits. Mary Gordon from Toronto, I used to work for her when I lived in Toronto. She started a program called Roots of Empathy, where a parent with a baby comes to visit a classroom once a week, and and the children can see how the baby changes, what the baby's able to do now, and they get to ask questions. And it's a great way to establish a connection and to build empathy in a hands-on kind of way. Yeah, Gordon Neufeld and Gabor Mate in their book, they say that for teachers, it's important to help matchmake with other adults in the school, like the librarian or the lunchtime supervisors, and especially next year's teacher. Like Gordon Neufeld had an amazing experience in grade 1, and then not so much after that. And he said it could have made a big difference if the grade 1 teacher, who he loved so much, would have introduced him to the grade 2 teacher already and kind of matchmaked a little bit. Um, but I know that's not always possible because you don't always know who the teacher is going to be. So whatever works, right? We live in a world where there are many competitive attachments. Sometimes the competing attachments can be with another parent after a divorce. Instead of an either or relationship, you can help turn it into a this and that relationship. We can do that by talking to the other parent in a friendly way, sitting next to each other at a school function, cheering together at the child's sports events, musical recital, or whatever works for you. I added in whatever works for you because I know that's not always something that's feasible, but just do whatever you can. At least try not to bash the other parent to your child. But have your interactions as friendly as possible in front of your child. And if you have to discuss something not so friendly, maybe do it via um, messaging or something when the child's not around. With peers, we can cultivate relationships with our children's friends, greeting them at the front door instead of them coming in through a side door and just kind of taking off with our kids like into their room, closing the door. Be sure to say hello as they come in and chit chat a little bit. Um, they like in the book he says creating a separate area in the house where children can isolate themselves is the last thing we should do. I think a lot of us have like a playroom if we have enough room in the house, and for sure as they get older they're going to want to go in their room sometimes and get away, but at least if they are somewhere else in the house, maybe make an appearance every once in a while, bring in a tray of snacks or something, and chat a little bit with them to make a connection. Um, Spending time eating a meal together is also a good way to form a connection with our children's friends, and also to befriend their parents when that's possible, or to at least have a little bit of a connection where you know who they are, you know how to get in touch with them, and all of that. Because childhood is a function of immaturity, the duration of childhood is increasing. Like he said in the book, because of peer attachments and all of that, a lot of children stay immature longer. Some people never really grow up and keep staying immature. But since true parenthood is a matter of relationship and exists only while children are actively attaching to us, the duration of hands-on parenting is rapidly decreasing. So immaturity is increasing, active parenting is decreasing. For parenthood to fade before the end of childhood is disastrous for both children and parents. Children lose the positive aspects of childhood. They remain immature but are deprived of their innocence, vulnerability, and childlike openness required for growth and for the enjoyment of what life has to offer. They're cheated of their full legacy as human beings. So what we need to do is be their mentors, their guides, their nurturers, their models. We need to hold on to our children until our work is done. Stay involved, stay in close connection with them. We need to hold on not for selfish purposes, but so they can venture forth, like he explained in one of the chapters, that we need to give them all the love and and connection, everything they need so that they don't have that attachment hunger and they can grow up. Not to hold them back, but so they can fulfill their developmental destinies. We need to hold on to them until they can hold on to themselves. Alrighty, this one was actually short and sweet, wasn't it? So the next ones are going to be all about technology. Thanks for sticking with it.